Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. It's a brand new rank season, so we are starting back in the Great Ball tier, but hopefully we'll jump back to Master Ball within a couple of episodes or so. In the last episode, we used a really interesting team featuring Zygarde, and despite Zygarde actually not being able to just fully sweep through teams, it was still a really strong team. And thank you to all that commented, by the way, because the interaction in Game 3 of that last episode in which I couldn't switcheroo onto a Kyogre with no item was actually apparently a glitch, which I didn't know about, so thank you to all who informed me about that. But yeah, let's jump into today's episode. Once again, check out the description below for details on this Zygarde team. Thank you so much to the creators for sending it over to me. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching, and let's get started. For the first game of the day, we're up against a Necrozma team. Okay, so in DM, potential Sucker Punch here for sure from Grimmsnarl to activate a policy. I think like the main max options here are definitely Moltres and the Necrozma. Zygarde's pretty interesting here. I'm curious if this is a game where we can maybe set that up, but I do have to worry about like activating the opposing policy. Can I pull up any eject shenanigans here is part of the question. Like I could just lead Whimsicott Scizor, as always, right? Coil Zygarde here is also kind of interesting. I do feel like this is not a bad game for Zygarde to max. I just want the Coil and the policy to get activated, ideally. They have so much Fake Out that I feel like I'm never going to get the eject button shenanigans off. Like, you're either leading Fake Out or Clef, right? Unless you specifically lead Moltres and Necrozma. So for that reason, I feel like it doesn't make too much sense. I actually think Feeny is really good here into my opponent's team just for early, like, Nature's Madnesses. So, I don't know. This is really interesting. I kind of want to try Feeny Zygarde, Incin in the back, and then Scizor. I don't know if this is the best choice, but my opponent's team is like interesting because like Necrozma can be really offensive, but it does take a little bit of setup to get there. So yeah. Sorry for missing an upload yesterday, by the way. They've been doing construction in the apartment unit above me, and I just moved in, and it's been like non-stop construction, so I always have to find like kind of obscure times to record. And yesterday's construction was just like throughout the entire day. So yeah. But I hope everyone's doing well. Question of the day, I want to know what your favorite way to de-stress is down in the comment section below. And so every time I ask the question of the day now, I always like do a mental reminder to try to make sure I answer the question, because I know sometimes or not sometimes, very often I feel like I forget to answer. So my answer to that would honestly be to just like, you know, listen to some good music or eat some good food. Like those are the two things I feel like that make me happiest often. So yeah. Okay, so Feeny Zygarde, they have Grimmsnarl and Necrozma, so I could definitely see a Fake Out turn 1, or you might just self-Sucker Punch to activate a weakness policy onto Necrozma. That'd be really interesting. I kind of want to switch out into Incineroar here. And see, I could Coil, but if they just Dynamax Necrozma and then Steel Spike into Zygarde, we kind of have a problem there, right? I guess the question is whether or not you'd actually KO. I'm going to go for Coil and try it out. Let's see. I think like the only risk here is if they self-Sucker Punch. I guess you could also Fake Out into the Zygarde here, but I do think from my opponent's perspective, you often expect Zygarde to Dynamax. Ideally, like Grimmsnarl just goes for like a Reflect or something, and then we just set up with multiple boosts on this. Okay, nice. Yeah, they go for Light Screen. Okay, that's great. Maybe Trick Room goes up here, but that's really not the end of the world because I can just Fake Out next turn. And Zygarde now is actually able to get boosted up, which is pretty sweet. So I don't mind that too much. Interesting to see them go for Light Screen, though. I don't think Max Quick was going to KO there anyway, and they are Swords Dance. Okay. So the good thing is that they're only at +1 right now. They haven't reflected either. I don't think a Fake Out Max Quick KOs here, though, which is my problem. Does Fake Out +1 Max Quick even KO Grimmsnarl? I feel like it doesn't, unfortunately. So if I'm my opponent, I'm Dynamaxing Necrozma now, and I think I'm Max Steel Spiking Zygarde and Reflecting with Grimmsnarl. I don't really want to activate a weakness policy here on the Necrozma. It's probably policied up as well. Got Scizor in the back. I'm at +1. Parting Shot? I think this is a little greedy because I could see Necrozma just max Quaking into Incineroar rather than Steel Spiking to Zygarde. And if they do that, this was just a complete waste of a turn. So I don't like my play here too much. Like, even if it works out, I don't think it was our best play in this position. So turn 1 was okay. Swords Dance is scary though. Yeah, I think Swords Dance is actually such a good move on Necrozma. We featured that earlier with that Lapras team. And it's just a really strong option because, yeah, you can just get the ball rolling real quickly. There still could be a Sucker Punch from Grimmsnarl here, by the way, as well. So that's, like, the other question I have. Yeah. Okay, so they are going to get to +3. I'm hoping this means they're targeting Zygarde. Because if they do target Zygarde, I get a parting shot off. I can just switch Instant back in once again and bring you down to -1. Or, sorry, +1. It is Max Quake, though. Okay. Onto Instant. Yeah, this is why that play was kind of greedy on my end. Wow. This is a really scary duel. The upside is I burn a turn of their Dynamax, but that was like a complete waste, whereas like if I just maxed and Max Quake there, we'd probably be in better shape. Because I think I could probably take a attack even from that position. I think I'll go into Scizor here, try to get the KO onto Grimmsnarl, and I think we should survive like a +3 Steel Spike onto the Zygarde once we max. So like it's not the end of the world, but this is exactly why I didn't like my play last turn, because if they make the read of Zygarde protecting there, it's just a complete waste. And since Zygarde's already pretty bulky and I had that defense boost, I think we totally could have just maxed last turn. I was just hoping, like, if they had targeted Zygarde there, the reward would be really high, but the risk that turn was also really high, and it just wasn't worth it in the end. Like, I didn't make a kind of a middle of the ground play. It was just, like, very high risk, very high reward. And I think in a position like this, where, like, we're not that far behind, there's really no need to take big risks. And, like, Zygarde is... It's like Instant so rarely carries Protect. Let Max Quaking into that slot is just relatively safe, right? Like the only way that doesn't work for my opponent is if I hard switch into Thunderous, which isn't like completely, you know, like a crazy play. But we'll get the Banded Bullet Punch. I wonder if that's enough to KO Grimmsnarl actually. It is. Leading Scizor then could have been pretty interesting just to deal with this Grimmsnarl. The good thing is our Zygarde's faster at least, right? And they don't have a defense boost yet, which is also an upside. Well, okay, Max Quake's actually 2 KO onto that thing. I honestly thought Necrozma would be a little bit tankier here, so like, if you Steel Spike into Zygarde, you survive, you activate our ability, that's honestly amazing for us, and I do think you target the Zygarde here. That doesn't even activate our ability. That's okay. Man, self-bullet punching is like an interesting consideration. This is why though I should have just maxed Necrozma, because after the coil boost, like we're in really good shape. So I should have just maxed last turn, or sorry, on turn 2 of the game, but it's okay. They're gonna bring in Rillaboom. How scared of Rillaboom am I? It's their last turn of Dynamax, by the way, on the Necrozma, so that's good for us. We know they're at +3 attack and they have Max Quake. So with that defense boost, I am not sure we KO'd the Necrozma here, which is what scares me. I have Feeny in the back, so I could switch Feeny in to change terrain. I think if I'm my opponent, I'm probably Max Quaking Scizor, to be honest. I don't know if Max Quake KOs Necrozma from that range after a defense boost. I lean towards no, honestly. I kind of want to switch Scizor out into Feeny and Max Guard here. But I guess you don't even KO in return. Let's see if they fake out first and foremost. They don't. Oh, they even switch Rillaboom out. Okay. Ah, for the Friend Guard. That was actually a really, really good play. I really like that option on their end. So unfortunately, I don't think Bullet Punch plus Quake's KOing Necrozma. I could have Bullet Punched into the Clef slot, which actually would have been really, really nice for us. If Max Quake somehow KOs here, I mean, we're good. But they have Friend Guard and the defense boost now, so yeah, it's not enough. Okay, but Zygarde's still not looking too bad, and if you end up Steel Spiking into the Zygarde slot, you're just going to activate our ability. So Zygarde's been great this game, I just haven't, like, played it to perfection, unfortunately. But that's okay. It is going to be Quake into Scizor, yeah. The fear here is that the Necrozma just one-shots everything on my end right now. Yeah, because I can't protect with the Feeny. Oh, that's actually a really big bummer. So it's a shame that Necrozma hung on with just a little bit, but that was kind of to be expected. And this is why I should have just Max Quake the first time around. Okay, so I can bring in Feeny. I have Taunt, Nature's Madness, Heal Pulse. I'm pretty sure a +3 Sunsteel Strike should just KO us. So I think it's looking kind of tough because I think we do have the defense boost though. I think like that's the main thing that's in our favor right now. But I think if you're my opponent right now, you can just go for a follow me and a Sunsteel Strike into Tapu Fini. And the downside of the Pokemon I brought into this game is I didn't have Protect on anything, so they're kind of just, you know, free knockouts for the Necrozma. Our Zygarde's faster here. I just want to double check that. It's a really fun game one way or another. Oh, Fini's actually faster. Which means, actually, we can get the KO onto Clefairy here with the Nature's Madness and a Max Quake. I don't know if Zygarde can win the 2v1, but we do have a defense boost. Yep, they go for Follow Me. Okay, it's actually a big deal that Fini's faster. I really like that the team is like designed that way, and it really should be. Because it also means you can self-heal pulse first. So this is where Nature's Madness Fini is huge, right? Because without Nature's Madness, normally, we can't really do that much damage into Clefairy. I'm hoping +1 Max Quake's enough here, because they didn't get a defense boost onto that Clef. If so, it's going to be Zygarde versus, in this endgame. Okay, we KO Clefairy, nice. I'm just kind of disappointed in myself, because I think, like, Zygarde was just such a clear winner in this matchup, and I didn't play the matchup, like, really perfectly, and I had a lot more room for opportunity, basically. Oh, Trick Room. That's probably a game-winning play. I think that wins them the game, because I think now you should be able to just Sunsteel Strike to KO the Zygarde, unfortunately. And now Fini not having an attacking move means I can't hit the Zygarde. But this was a really good game, and I think if I had just Max Quake turn 2, I shouldn't have protected Zygarde. That was a poor play on my end, and I lost too much momentum from that, so that was the clear misplay in this match. I guess the hope is to survive a Sunsteel Strike. But I should have just hard switched Incineroar out there. Parting Shot was really greedy. Oh wait, we have Muddy Water actually. Hold on. I think I protect Muddy Water here. I guess you probably just Glide though, and Sunsteel Strike with very low risk. But if like they didn't Glide for some reason, and Fini actually gets the Muddy Water off and we KO Necrozma, we'd win the game. Or they can fake out Zygarde, Sunsteel Strike Fini. That also makes sense. Yeah. I had no way around that. Unfortunately, our ability never activated, and them actually not activating the ability was... for a second, I was like, maybe Fini hangs on there, but yeah, I don't think it's taking a +3 Sunsteel Strike. Well, that was really well played by my opponent, honestly. I think they played near perfectly. Bullet punching the Clef could have been nice. I didn't... See, that's the one thing I didn't consider, them switching into Clef to activate Friend Guard. That was a really good play, especially because, like, you know, you didn't think that was going to happen after bringing out Rillaboom, but Necrozma surviving with the Sliver, and this is why Swords Dance Policy Necrozma is so good, right? I love the Grimmsnarl Necrozma lead from my opponent here as well, so they're going to Glide, and unfortunately the way the ability activates is not here, but it's after this turn, right? So unless we somehow survive Sunsteel Strike here, it's going to be a game over. But if we survived, I actually think Necrozma could pull it back. Or sorry, Zygarde could pull it back, but they're +3, we're at +1. Yeah, Zygarde can't take it. So that was a really fun game, honestly, and like I said, I knew the Incin play was bad right as soon as I made it, so I shouldn't have made it in the first place. Yeah, my opponent made a really good read to just, or not even a read, just a good call to target Incineroar in that position. I think that was well done, but I should have just maxed with Necrozma. Well, we can check their teams. Let's see what they have here. Yeah, it was Policy, Swords Dance, EQ, Life Orb, Moltres, AV, Rillaboom, Figgy, Incin, Lagging Tail Grimmsnarl, actually, interesting. So no fake out on that, and then Eviolite on the Clef. So, yeah, you know, margins were kind of thin there. In the end, the main mistake was to, that one turn in which I just protected. And, like, I think after that, I don't think I would have done anything differently, but that one turn, I just lost so much. And in a format like this, where your opponent has a lot of potential setup, you just can't let them run away with the game. I honestly didn't know my, like, Zygarde calcs into Necrozma super well either, so that probably would have helped a little bit. It is pretty obscure. Well, I guess Necrozma Duskmane is probably one of the more common restricteds right now. So, yeah. So that seems really interesting. They have Sableye and Tornadus, a double Prankster, a lot of Ghosts with the Mimikyu and the Chandelure as well. And then Zashi and Lapras. So the thing about Zashi and Lapras is... Also, one thing to talk about in that game is that my lack of Protect really cost me, because they just had they were able to pick up free knockouts on everything, basically, right? Instances where Fini all didn't have Protect. So that's something I should have considered a little bit more from the lead matchup. And the Trick Room play was really good. I wasn't sure if they had Trick Room there, but let's focus on this match. Like, Trick Room's pretty common on Necrozma, so it shouldn't be super surprising. I like Whimsicott here. I have to worry about Will-O-Wisp from Sableye. I mean, they have an Ice type in the Lapras, right? I guess that's actually a really big problem, isn't it? Maybe we just go Whimsicott Scizor. If they lead Lapras, we can cheese them super hard. Zygarde in the back. Thunderous, Scizor, Feeny. Feeny is honestly kind of interesting here, especially for Nature's Madness. But I feel like I really should bring Thunderous into a matchup, right, with Lapras. Yeah, I think we probably max Thunderous in this game and use regular Zygarde. Oh, I'm just really disappointed in myself for that last one. It was a really good game, honestly. And, like, games like that, I don't mind losing because I can at least, one, exactly point to what I did wrong, and two, like, my opponent played really well as well, so kudos to them. Like, I don't think they made any mistakes at all, other than light screening turn 1. I think that was kind of surprising. But other than that, like, after then, it felt like every play they made was really good. They do lead with Tornadus Lapras, so I don't know. In this part, it's like, have you seen this team before? Because if not, the turn 1 switcheroo plus Bolo Punch is so good. But if you're my opponent, maybe you just go for a Tailwind to protect and then taunt turn 2, right? I could also switcheroo the Tornadus, but I think I will go for it onto Lapras. We'll see. We want to see a max here turn 1. If they max, that means we should be good. And they do max, so unless you're max guarding here, I think we should be ejecting Lapras out. Every time I think of eject, I think of the in Fast and Furious 2, where they the scene where they eject the guy from the car. I guess it happens in every Fast and Furious movie, but yeah. Either way, this is really good if we're able to force Lapras out. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, you're never maxing here unless you're attacking, right? So we should be able to force it out. Nice. Take away the clay. Get the Bullet Punch off. Beautiful. Tornadus actually wasn't even going for Tailwind. Unless it's really slow for some reason, but it's probably a flying type attack into Whimsicott. So I think against Whimsicott leads, it is pretty safe. And I guess I'm teaching you how to beat, like, the play I made there. But it is pretty safe to protect there because, like, I'm not really risking KOing Tornadus. And I'd have to make a pretty hard read. I guess I could have, like, Moonblast Bullet Punch Tornadus. That could have been interesting. Okay, Chandelure comes out, though, so that's actually... Oh, you're kidding me. He has Heat Wave. Wow. Man, the one time I used Scizor, I run into Heat Wave Tornadus. That's okay, though. That's okay. Because we have Thundurus with a Solvest and Zygarde in the back, so... I guess the only tricky thing here right now is, do I Tailwind when my opponent could... I think the best play here is actually to... I'm worried about Sash Chandelure Trick Rooming. Like, that's my only fear. Sash Chandelure and Trick Room. What are the odds of that? I don't know, like, pretty obscure, but I could see it happening. Otherwise, I could just, like, I also, like, I want a Tailwind, but I also want to respect the option of Trick Room. Oh, wait, but I could Switcheroo. Oh, then, but I don't get Tailwind up. I'm going for Tailwind and Darkness, but if they are Focus Sash and a Trick Room here, it's really bad for us. And I feel like Sash Chandelure with Trick Room is honestly like the #1 set I'd expect. But the problem here is I didn't have a way to cover both Tailwind and Trick Room. If they end up not setting up Trick Room and KO Whimsicott, which is fairly likely, then I am in really, really bad shape. Because they'll just have Zacian and Lapras in the back, right? So, and the other problem is if I protect there and they Tailwind, they can taunt me. But if you're running Heat Wave... Okay, they Tailwind too. That's what we want to see. That's good. I guess you could Tailwind and Trick Room. That would be a really fascinating play. Now the question is, do you have Protect here on... sorry, Sash. I think it's likely. But they're not Sashed either. Okay, that's a really big deal. So let's see. You probably have Zacian in the back. Zacian can obviously come in Behemoth Blade, which is really scary. I have Zygarde in the back, which obviously is good for us. Because what I'm thinking is I can switch Whimsicott out into Zygarde and then max Airstream to give that a speed boost. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a Heat Wave on Tornadus. To be honest, maybe it helped us because it forced the Scizor out. But that's definitely not like a super, super common move, I would say. Okay, I mean, now my only fear is whether or not Behemoth Blade, like, one-shots us, right? That's definitely kind of scary. See, we both set up Tailwind. I could just Moonblast Airstream the Tornadus. But I think switching Whimsicott out here into Zygarde is totally fine. And just go for an Airstream to outspeed and target Tornadus. If Thundurus can survive like a Behemoth Blade, oh, it should, right? What am I saying? Wait, for some reason, I had a blank out for a second. Thought Behemoth Blade was Fairy type, but yeah, because you're Steel type, Thundurus is actually pretty good into the Zacian right now. Yeah, they go for the Blade. Okay. And as soon as we get a speed boost in this matchup, we should be good. Yeah, oh my gosh, that still does so much damage. They're gonna go for a Heat Wave, that's fine. Not if you burn us, though. Jeez. That's actually a really bad burn. I think without the burn, we had this game locked up. So I'm not really happy to see that. Wow, that's actually a really big bummer. Dang. Huh. Okay. 2 turns of Tailwind left from both ends. I mean, obviously I can just 1,000 arrows here. Wait, does Zygarde outspeed Zacian at +1 speed? That's my other question right now. I don't remember what speeds that Zacian hits. I don't think it does, which is a problem, isn't it? So I think I'm gonna 1,000 arrows and go for an Airstream here into Zacian. It's a bummer we got burnt, but you can see the value of Heatwave Tornadus in this matchup, right? Or in this game, my opponent was able to KO Scizor, do so much damage to Whimsicott, and manage to, yeah, get potential burns on the switch-ins. So definitely a little bit disappointed by that, but that's the game sometimes. I think maybe 2,000 arrows still KOs the Zacian, so let's see. I think the way my opponent played around Zygarde in that first game was really well done, because they just never let my ability activate. So we'll get 1,000 arrows off. I hope this KOs Tornadus. Okay. Zacian's low. Like, I think Moonblast plus 1,000 arrows KOs, but my opponent has a Lapras. Actually, how do I beat Lapras in the back now? Doesn't Lapras just win? I think it does. I needed Thundurus to deal with my opponent's Lapras. Yeah, I actually should have been thinking about that more, just as a win condition in general, right? Because without the burn, would we have KO'd Zacian? It was close, but I didn't play this correctly, because I needed to deal with Lapras with my Thundurus anyway. So what was the correct play there? I guess the correct play would have been to Airstream. I didn't need to Airstream Tornadus. That was the main mistake, actually. I needed Thundurus alive, and I took so much damage from Behemoth Blade. What I needed to do was Airstream Zacian into... Okay, I mean, can we still win this? I actually think there's a slim possibility we can win this. Last turn of Tailwind. See, the thing here is I can self Moonblast to activate Policy, and then 1,000 arrows, or I'm thinking just protect Moonblast, but I don't think that's the play. So I'm gonna 1,000 arrows here and self Moonblast into Zygarde. And if like you protect here for some reason, that would actually activate our ability. Oh wait, I forgot we're faster. Never mind, that doesn't work. But we did so little anyway, yeah, it wouldn't have really ended up working out. Man, yeah, I think without the burn, it would have looked pretty good. They did end up, yeah, targeting Whimsicott there. But the thing is, I misplayed even with the burn, right? I should have just targeted Whimsicott. And they're gonna freeze dry into Zygarde. Yeah. This one, after turn 1, it feels like it should be a win, but it wasn't because they had Heat Wave on Tornadus. And so like my main takeaway from this one, this game, was that I should have used Thundurus better, basically. And I didn't do a good job with it. Very specifically, I need Thundurus to deal with Lapras in the end game because Zygarde is pretty weak against Ice types. So like, I think I like max Airstream into I like max Airstreaming into Zacian, so then I can max Lightning or max Airstream it in the subsequent turn. I think without the burn, it would have come down to Protects there in the end. But yeah, if you ever struggle in the beginning of the start of a ranked season, like trust me, I've been there. Okay. Getting into the last match here. Let's try to pick up a dub. Wow, they got Reshiram. So finally no Ice types for Zygarde, but seeing the Heat Wave in the last game makes me think that Tyranitar might have Ice Beam here. This feels like a really good Zygarde game, so I think I want to play towards that. Incineroar for Intimidate I feel like is definitely valuable. Meowstic on their end's really cool. I haven't seen that in quite a while now. Thundurus doesn't feel really good. I guess it's Assault. It's actually not terrible. It could max. Because, like, I could go with Zygarde and Thundurus, actually, as the duo here. Now that I think about it, maybe it's a regular Zygarde game and then max Thundurus kind of game. So, I'm thinking... Whimsicott. Feeny. Ah, I don't like that lead. Kind of want to just try out Thundurus Zygarde immediately, because if you Intimidate Zygarde, you activate Defiant. Yeah, I like that. Intimidate in the back with Instant. I don't think I really need Tailwind here. And then Feeny is the last one. Yeah, I think, like, the main struggle for Zygarde has, like, not been... I haven't had a game where I just maximized it completely, right? Which is, like, part of the problem in my time using the team. And so I need to do a better job of just, like, maximizing its potential, because, like, I haven't... But my round one, or my game one opponent played really, really smartly around it. Okay, they go with Reshiram plus Meowstic. So, it's pretty interesting, because, like, Meowstic has a lot of options. I think Fake Tears, Sunny Day, for example. I lean towards maxing Thundurus, Airstreaming. Here's the thing, actually, if you Worm Wind into this thing, you activate the Policy. Sorry, yeah, you activate Defiant on Thundurus. So, yeah, I think I'm going to Airstream here in 1,000 Arrows. Zygarde does have a lot of common type weaknesses, right? You are going to run into Dragon or Ice or Fairy, like, in most of your games, so... But that's the thing, it's not like it's necessarily a disaster if you go up against something like an Activate the Policy, or has super effective attack. You just need to make sure it doesn't KO. That's the main thing. And I've been getting KO'd too often with Zygarde. Like, haven't been utilizing it where I managed to, you know, just pick up KOs with... Sorry, let it, like... I don't use its HP effectively, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. So Meowstic has so many different options. You have Thunder Wave, but you're not going to do that here. Fake Out, Fake Tears, Sunny Day. Any of those could happen right now. I don't think Airstream into 1,000 Arrows is a KO, but Reshiram here is in kind of a dilemma because, like, you can only target one of two Pokemon here, right? Because Meowstic is very supportive and defensive in this position. And they go for Fake Out onto Thundurus. Okay, perfect. Nice. So that makes a lot of sense. I think, like, that's why Fake Out can be really volatile, because if you don't call it correctly on turn 1, it can be really tricky. That being said, Reshiram actually tanked that really, really well, impressively enough. Which makes me think they're just going to target the Zygarde here, and 1,000 Arrows is definitely not picking up the KO. Pretty good damage, but obviously would have preferred more. They do go for the Worm Wind, though, onto... Oh, Thundurus. Okay, I think we just win the game off that, to be honest. Yeah, I think we just win the game off that, because, like, you just activated Defiant. So I think the main thing I have to watch out for here is... Yeah, their Life Orb as well. Given that, we don't want Trick Room to go up. So I think the best play here is to just max Knuckle into... Well, just Knuckle into... Do you have Trick Room is the question. -1 attack, we're at +1 with this thing. Because what I want to do is max Knuckle into Meowstic and then 1,000 Arrows. But I'm not confident that KOs. Meowstic gets Trick Room, right? I'm, like, fairly confident it does. 1,000 Arrows does become single target. Okay, I guess I'll just Airstream Meowstic here. And 1,000 Arrows. It might have been appropriate to actually have protected... Okay, they max guard, yeah. Good. That's why I didn't want to double into that, because, like, they end up just reflecting, but that's fine. Like, I have to double check whether or not Meowstic gets Trick Room, but I was thinking it does. So... Yeah, I mean, game 1, I think maxing Zygarde was definitely the play. I just needed to attack instead of wasting a turn. Game 2, Lapras Zacian probably is one of the worst matchups for Zygarde just because of Lapras. So I needed to utilize Thundurus better despite getting the eject off turn 1. They had the tech move of Heat Wave, which was super, super clutch. Burn was unfortunate, but I, like, don't think that's why I lost the game. I lost because I didn't play towards the Thundurus win con well. And there was no reason to need to Airstream Tornadus, because Airstream... Tornado's just really useless damage-wise. They bring out Landorus, too. This is just a clear game of Defiant Thundurus being able to roll through. Yeah, there's nothing they can do against it, so that's really good. So let's see. We are at -2, +2 speed, +2 attack with this thing, and Reshiram just protected. So honestly, I think we just Airstream Reshiram here and go for a Coil with Zygarde. Give it a bunch of defense boosts. I don't think Landorus can even knock out the Thundurus from the range that it's at. May have been better to switch out the Zygarde there, because like Zygarde is at -2 attack, so it's not doing much, but with the defense boosts and with my opponent's team being as physical as it is, I just don't think they can win. So this is why you have to be really careful about going up against Defiant Thundurus. If you give it an attack or intimidate it or lower its attack, then it can really just steamroll with Defiant. So yeah. I might play one more episode with this team. I know I normally do 2, but I really feel like I have not like done a good job showing how good the Zygarde team is. Because it is really good. I just have not maximized my play with it. So I think we'll do one more tomorrow, because in what 6 matches we've had, like we missed a lot of really good opportunities just completely sweep through with Zygarde. So I'm a little bit disappointed in myself, just because my play has been pretty subpar. And I want to show you all the full potential of this team. So let's see. I think I'm just content to Superpower here. Oh, Fly works against Landers, I guess. You're not beating Zygarde at this point. And we still have 2 Pokemon in the back, to be honest. And what, we're at +2 attack? Superpower here is pretty safe. I'll go for Superpower. And 1,000 Arrows. Yeah, they don't protect. Okay. That's the cool thing about these late game 1,000 Arrow games as well, right? Because, like, you actually can't resist it with Ground-type Pokemon. Or, sorry, Flying-type or Levitating Pokemon. Although 1,000 Arrows may have just KO'd Rotom. We're at -1 attack, but just wanted to guarantee the knockout. To be honest, there's not really anything my opponent can do after the start of, like, the first 2 turns of this game. If you're going for Fake Out Max Warm Wind into Thundurus, you're basically hoping I don't max and pick up a knockout onto it. And that's honestly a good play, because I think a lot of people would want to just max Zygarde in that position, right? But now we can just bring it in Sin, Fake Out. Yeah, have we used the Dragon-type attack on it yet? I think we have. Yeah, I think that's just appropriate here. So Lando comes in, it's Fake Out, and Skill Shot. Yeah, and they realize there's not much that they could do. So, I don't know. I'm really bummed out about that second game, just because I like really feel like I botched it after a good turn 1. Although, wasn't even that good of a turn 1 considering how much we lost. Probably not. I just needed to identify, like, the Zacian was the bigger threat in the moment against Thundurus, and then also realize I needed to conserve Thundurus for Lapras in the end game, which I didn't do a great job assessing. And yeah, Heat Wave Tornadus. I'm actually really curious. Let's see how many people are running that right now, because I have no idea. Analytics. Tornadus. Heat Wave isn't even in, like, the top, 8 most common used moves, and so it is rather obscure, but it's not something like doesn't exist on it at all. It's just on probably, like, less than 1%. But it makes sense, because Kartana is a pretty annoying Pokemon to go up against for Lapras plus Zacian, so yeah, something I'll definitely be a little bit more aware of, because I guess if they don't Heat Wave, it's still kind of tricky, because then Chandelure did get that free switch in, so having 2 dual fires was pretty rough. I mean, Scizor did what it needed to, which was prevent the Lapras Max, because I think if Lapras maxes and gets the max moves off, like, I'm just really, really doomed. But it was the combination of Heat Wave, the burn, and me not playing towards the win conditions appropriately in that second game. The first game, my opponent just played beautifully, honestly. And yeah, Necrozma just hung on with a little bit, and like I said, we made a really high-risk, high-reward play, but we didn't need to because we were actually in a pretty good spot after turn 1. Sure, they hit the Swords Dance off, and even if they get to that boost, like, you saw how defensive Zygarde was, right? So I think all I really need to do was just max Zygarde on turn 2, and then just Quake into Necrozma. That's, like, the one main play in that first game. So, yeah. Like I said, I think I'll play one more episode with this team, because I feel like we definitely haven't utilized Zygarde to its max potential, and now I have a pretty good sense of what to do and what not to do with it, so that should help tomorrow. Either way, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. Alright, peace.